Hyperemesis Gravidarum basically is a situation, it's an illness, and it basically is translated to mean like the worst morning sickness you can ever imagine. You are throwing up, you are feeling bad, you can't consume anything, you can't consume water, nor you can consume food, you can't consume drinks, fruits, sweets, nothing will stay down, you won't eat. And if you know how the human body works, if that's the case and you can't consume things, then basically you will die. Wagwan, welcome back to my channel, Face Spells by Seychelle. I am your girl Seychelle, and today I'm not beating any faces, I'm not doing any makeup. This is more of a sit down, a very serious sit down lifestyle, health lifestyle kind of video. And basically I'm talking about my pregnancy, my experience, and my sickness during my pregnancy, which is basically Hyperemesis Gravidarum. I think I needed to do this video because when I was pregnant, or prior to when I was pregnant, this is not a situation I knew of. Nobody ever talked about this. Even when you go on YouTube, which is primarily where we go, we don't have a lot of persons talking about this. And then because of that, we are so ignorant of the fact that this exists. And I was kind of mad, a bit angry that there was not much more information out there regarding this situation and nobody talked about it. So I want to use my platform to increase awareness in this condition. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So first and foremost, I want to go back into my pregnancy, how I found out. I basically missed a period, as everybody know, and I am a person who has a regular period, so missing a period is like a red flag, like something is happening. That was, I conceived in December. I found out I was pregnant, I think about the first week. Yes, it was the first week of January, because my period was due thereabouts. And I found out, did a pregnancy test, confirmed it, brought the news to who needed to know, and all that jazz. No, mind you, I was not feeling any form of symptoms whatsoever at this point, other than soreness of breast. Cause that I wouldn't lead that to pregnancy, because who does? We get sore breast and all of those things before our period. Found out, and then it happened. Once I told everyone, I decided that I'm gonna go to confirm it. That was like the weekend of the week that I found out. Anyways, went to the doctor, found out, yes, you are pregnant. Get these prenatals, they prescribe the folic acid, and prepare for a pregnancy, and wait for your baby to get here. Fine. And I wasn't mad, I'm grown. I have the support of my fiance and my family around me. Like, how bad could it be? Guys, let me tell you, the moment I went to confirm with the doctors that I was pregnant, about a day or two, I'm not exaggerating, about a day or two, things start going downhill. I threw up once, I threw up again, and it was like, by that time, for that day, I think I threw up like 5 times for that day. Cool, you know, you're kind of starting feeling excited, because now I'm sure I'm pregnant now and all these things, you know. Alright, so that day blew off. The next day, I woke up. Mind you, the vomiting woke me up. When the vomiting woke me up, I was vomiting like every 10 minutes. Between the time when I realized that, no man, something is wrong, I've already threw up like about 9-10 times. By this time, I'm feeling weak, I'm feeling beat, I'm feeling dehydrated, I'm feeling overwhelmed and all of these things. Is this normal? Is this possibly a normal thing in pregnancy. I don't hear people talking about it. It could be that, because mind you, you hear about morning sickness. What is morning sickness? Morning sickness, not typically something that happens when in the morning you have a little vomit or it can be, but for the most part time, morning sickness, as you call morning sickness, is more pronounced in the morning, but you can find that you might have your little episode in the afternoon, in the night, whenever. You might throw up once or twice, but that is it. That was not the case for me. So by that day, I'm throwing up 9 times. The next day, I'm throwing up like every 10 minutes. This now raised an alarm. No, me eat the doctors, you know, me eat it. So my fiance and my mother was like, no, you need to go see the doctor, because this is not normal. My mom is like, this never happened to me. You need to go see the doctor. Fine. Went to the doctor, private doctor, mind you. And when I went to the doctor, he was like, oh, these things happen, and he prescribed Gravel. Now, every pregnant somebody's supposed to know Gravel. Gravel is like a medicine that you use to basically settle your stomach. It is good for upset stomach, vomiting, etc. Primarily, once you take Gravel, you should be fine. Took the Gravel, guys, and by the day goes by, it was getting worse. Went back, because mind you, it was so bad that I could not move from here to here without carrying like a bucket or something to throw up in. Because even when I went to the doctors, I had to literally bring with me a bucket to throw up in. That is how bad it was. They don't get a break. So when I went there, now it's like, I prescribe everything that I think is possible for you to use so far. My next thing is like Gravel suppositories. Now, Gravel suppositories, for persons who don't know, are some medication that are used to insert them in your anus. But don't get alarmed. It's a very fine pill. It does not cause any discomfort or anything. But as for me, I don't know. When I was afraid to use it, so I was going days without using it. Started to use it, and then when I started to use it, it just never worked. It never feel comfortable. It never worked. First, I could not eat. I couldn't keep down anything. I couldn't keep down water. So we knew hospital time. So went to the hospital, and trust me, I hauled him off out of the house, because nobody could convince me that I needed to go to the doctor. I am not a sick person. I don't go to the doctor. I don't go to the hospital, especially. And then they were going to tell me that I needed to go to the hospital. Mind you, for my persons who are not in Montego Bay or Jamaica, hospital down here is not hospital over there where it's all fine and dandy. Hospital down there is a long process. You might take days, a day or two, before you finally get checked in. Persons look at you before you get actual service. And then if you are supposed to get admitted, that's another thing. When we reach to the admitting part, then I'll discuss that. Anyways, so I went to the hospital, and of course I went with my mom, and because them time, they trust me, fiance, you're not even one for them on the fiance. You want mommy. You feel bad, you want mommy. So we went to the hospital, and mind you, I didn't get through till the following day, around the same time the following day. So roughly 24 hours when I did fully get through to see the doctor. When I got through, they took your blood and everything, got there, and when I went there, I basically was admitted. No, we are having some problems here in Montego Bay with Cardinal Regional. Some parts of it is out of use because of some mold and whatever. So there's not enough room, and there is not enough beds for persons. So even though you get admitted and you think you're going to be in the comfort of at least being in a clean, safe environment, lying down and kind of resting, that's not the case. When you're in Cardinal Regional Hospital, your version of sitting down and getting admitted, it means that you might possibly be sitting down in the same spot that you came when you were in the waiting. It's just that you're put on a ward. I was placed in triage, and I had to sit down. I had to sit down in triage for a whole 24 hours. That's where I had to sleep. Mind you, me can't sleep unless me in my bed. So I was sitting like this the entire night. And I'm around a ton of sick persons. So I'm sitting here, I'm vomiting and all of those things. So you see, when the doctors them come to check on me, because they were giving me medication and stuff, they had to put in your IVs and basically they were giving you fluids, so they change it. Once the bag is finished, they give you fluids and whatever. The research on the internet will tell you that once you get fluid for about 1 to 3 days, and you have hyperemesis, you should be good until you probably need more. That's what they said. Anyways, at this time I didn't know what I was diagnosed with. I don't know if it is something with hospitals or so, where they kind of not tell you what your issue is or whatever, just for you not to be scared or anything. But knowing me already diagnosed myself and do my research and all of those things. But anyways, I got my medication and all of those things. To be honest, I felt good. That was the first time in about a week that I could actually eat, because when I got the drip the following morning, when I actually attempted to get a piece of saltfish, some mint tea, I couldn't actually eat that, and fried dumplings, and I couldn't actually eat.
Okay, someone said, I can't eat now. I need to go. Goodbye to you guys. I am going to go home.
So when the doctor come, and even though I was still feeling a bit bad, the doctor come and say, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm fine. And she say, have you eaten? And I was like, yeah. Did you stay down? I'm like, yeah. It's okay, good, discharge. Because that is, they don't have the space, so they're not going to sit down and wait for a day to see if the symptoms come back and all that something. You feel good, you're going home. That is just the reality of how the hospital is here. I went home, and after that, guys, 3 days after that, go back in the hospital, process all over again, admitted. However, this time when I was admitted, I thank God for this person. I went to school with her. She's a doctor there. She saw me, and she ended up let me get a bed after waiting for hours, for a day, or for over about a day and some hours. And I was there. I was begging to be admitted because I was so uncomfortable. I was around persons with all type of illnesses, and I was throwing up, and I was throwing up like every 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. It was bad. So imagine you have 24 hours in a day, and every 5 minutes you're throwing up. You can't eat, you can't do anything, so you can't stay home because you can't eat, you can't even consume water. That's how bad it is. And I was admitted that time. I was taken on a ward. I had a bed. I'm like, yes, I have my entire bed for myself. And this time the guy in the ward to me is like the best ward in the hospital. It's so clean. You have everything to yourself. You have a charger there. You can plug in a charger and use a phone and use a computer and all of that, something there. And I feel like in a hotel. That's how I felt in that moment. So I was fine. I was like, you guys can go home, I'll stay here and I'm fine. For that time I was in there for a week. That not bad at all. After a week I could eat, because basically with Hyperemesis Gravidarum, they already know that it's not a situation where you're gonna just get up and you're gonna heal from it. Once you have been diagnosed with Hyperemesis Gravidarum, they can't tell you that you're gonna be better tomorrow. Because most times they say you can be better, you run off through the first trimester and you'll be fine. Some person says go through the entire pregnancy, which was my case. Some person say by the time it is like 3 weeks or so you're good, or 3 days or so. Everybody is different. So whenever I spent a week in the hospital, I was home. Guys, it got worse after I went home. I think I spent probably about 2 days home, and after that, when they admitted me that third time, that was about the 3rd week in January, when they admitted me that 3rd time, that was it. I was there in the hospital from that week of January to April. 3 whole months throughout my entire first trimester. So let me tell you about that experience, being fully admitted in hospital. Hyperemesis Gravidarum basically is a situation, it's an illness, and it basically is translated to mean like worst morning sickness you can ever imagine. You are throwing up, you are feeling bad, you can't consume anything, you can't consume water, nor you can consume food, you can't consume drinks, fruits, sweets, nothing will stay down, you won't eat. And if you know how the human body works, if that's the case and you can't consume things, then basically you will die. So that is the overall truth. It is, and it's the worst case of morning sickness, and it's not morning sickness, it's an entire sickness. For me, it was the worst case because it lasted throughout my entire pregnancy, and I was extremely ill. I could not eat. So when I was admitted now into the hospital a 3rd time, they have a acronym in the hospital called NPO, and NPO is basically nothing per mouth, nothing by mouth. So once it has to go through your mouth, that is strictly forbidden. So I was hooked up to an IV for the 3 months I was there. The IVs basically supplied me with fluids, and they basically provided salts. It's like salts that was going through the bags, and that was what is going in. That was basically sustaining my life pretty much, because I'm not drinking water, I'm not consuming food. My body could not have survived that without having something that is supplying me and keeping me hydrated. And they had to give me medication through the IVs as well, because I could not get even medication through mouth. Nothing could be put in my mouth without me throwing up. And even when I was NPO, I was still throwing up. So they had to give me the medication through my IV and the salts through my IV. No, the medication through my IV was the most painful thing in life, guys. It's like they put the medication and then they squeeze it, but for some reason the medication, it burns. So it literally burns going through your vein. Kind of having a little, I kind of remembering the feeling that I used to have every time when they would push that thing through my vein. My vein would entirely rupture, or it will bruise. You could see my skin turning purple and all of that. I'm gonna include clips and pictures so you can see exactly what I was going through. I have very fine veins, guys, I mind you, and because of that, sometimes when I'm waiting on the doctor to change my IV, because I was getting medication through my IV, and then I was getting salts, so sometimes it will clog up. If they don't come to change my IV quickly, and it kind of stops and it kind of creates a gap in my IV, then they had to push. They call it push. That's when they kind of force down air into the IV and force down the blood back into it, and it was extremely painful. So most time when it is that, my veins rupture. So you will see, like in these areas where they always put IVs and those things, you can see that my veins like burst. So after a while, they kind of found it hard to inject me or to give me IVs, because they could not find any veins. At a point, I had it in my thumb. During that time, guys, if I was not mentally strong, then I don't think I would have survived it, and I wouldn't wish my illness upon anybody. Nobody would I wish my illness upon, because it was so bad and it messed with your mental state. I mean, the research tells you that only like 2% of pregnant persons will be diagnosed with Hyperemesis Gravidarum. And when I researched that and I found out that I was diagnosed with that, I was like, God, why me? I mean, I'm never looking anything else. Why have you blessed me with this curse? Get it? Blessed me with this curse to be one out of that 2% of persons. 2% of persons in the population, you know, is at. What are the chances of you being diagnosed with it? Guys, I don't think I can find the words to express how sick I was. So let me show you the action to show you how sick I was. These were all pills that I got during my show. I'm not exaggerate. Look at all of the things that I was supposed to be taking with my pregnancy, and there's more in the bag. And guys, it was so hard. I couldn't eat 3 months, no food, no water, no nothing. I was literally, when persons come and they're in the hospital, you know, persons have visiting time and persons carry them nice lunch, and then sometimes don't like, God, I'm gonna eat piece of the chicken there, I'm gonna eat piece of the apple there, and all in something that was, I could not consume anything, and that was on my file. So what they want is not to keep you there, but they want to keep you hydrated, and once you can consume food, they will let you go home. You might be throwing up, but once you can keep down a little food, then they will make you go home. If you can't keep down food, then it makes no sense you go home, because basically you're gonna die. Because if you can't eat and can't drink and you vomit, red flag. Dehydration, drowsiness, fainting away, and whatever. And on the point of fainting away, guys, I had 2 episodes where I just passed out. I just blocked out. at a point when I was pregnant, I was kind of hallucinating because I was high on drugs and I had no food in my system. I was out of my mind. I felt as much I was out of my body. I was not within myself. I felt as though I was somebody else and I felt like I was dying. I remember I was hallucinating, like in the hallucination I was like, nurse, I don't feel well, I'm going to die. And in my head the nurse was answering all of them things there, but it's like almost like I'm dreaming, or I can't tell if it's reality or if it's dreaming, but I can't remember that vividly. So it messes with your mental state, guys. It messes with your mental state, and I don't think people understand how bad this situation is. In late March now, they started to include me, give me little things, because at that point now it wasn't like every day that I was having vomiting and all that. Yeah, every day, but not like every couple of minutes that I was vomiting. But no, it was more like probably like every hour, or probably about 9 times a day, 8 times a day, and all of those things. So it was back to where I started in the first part. But at that point now they say, okay, we're gonna take her from NPU and we're gonna start off with Ensure. But the Ensure that they started me off with was some apple juice Ensure. It was provided by the hospital. Guys, that did taste nasty. That did taste nasty. So when them used to send it to give me just always just dash it away. Me say better me just stay NPO because me not gonna drink that. And then they started to tell me to let them give you apple your people bring me apple juice and Gatorade, and when I started to do that, mind you, I would drink them and I would still throw up, but at the end of the day I could consume things. So they wanted to see how I took things by mouth, and then they started to give me medication by mouth now instead of pushing it through my veins. So I could remember correctly, Zantac was one of them. Zantac, they give you Gravel, Zantac Gravel, and another M word. I'm gonna put it here if I can remember all of the pills that I got. But I did not see a turnaround, guys, until I got the pill. I'm gonna put it right here. Kytril. That was my lifesaver, and I did not get Kytril. They changed my doctor in about March, and when he become my obstetrician and my gyno, he was the one that I went through my prenatal clinics with, and my antenatal, yeah, Dr. Harvey. I love him. After they traded him to me and I was a part of his firm, then he prescribed Kytril. Kytril is not necessarily for pregnant persons. It's not harmful to pregnant women, I must add, but it's not necessarily a pregnancy pill. So I guess that is why persons never really pushed to give me that before, because I think it's mostly persons who has cancer and they have to go through what does the cancer persons go through? Their treatment, their cancer treatment. Why can't I remember anything? I can't remember anything today, guys. I can't remember anything today. But their treatment, and that will kind of help with the extreme nausea and so that comes with that. So I guess because that is why they never push the Kytril, and it is extremely expensive, like extremely expensive. And yeah, he prescribed that, and by the first day, after the first day of being on that pill, I kind of felt a turnaround. I could breathe a little thing. So once they see you starting to consume things, next thing they want to know is if you are keeping it down. Mind you, that was not the case, because as I said, I did not really stop throwing up, but they started like, okay, so she not gonna stop throw up, so basically we'll just go see if it lessens. If it lessens, we will send her home. So after I started on some liquid and some, them started giving me some like porridge and then something there, and I used to take it. I used to vomit now and then, but I could consume it and all of that. But guys, when I started to eat now, and they were considering to let me out, they started to do some blood tests and whatever, and that showed that my potassium was low and my electrolytes, and they could not let me out, because you know that if your potassium and your electrolytes are low, then it can lead to heart problems and pressure problems and, you know, all of those things. So they had to get that in check before they consider letting you out. So that was low. So I spent another 2 weeks trying to build that up and all of them things there. During the time also, they had to constantly check your urine for different things. your sugar levels and all of them things there. And I was always high in protein in my urine. I remember I was only getting the liquid from the IVs, and so because of that, now when I was passing out urine, I was passing out like proteins in my urine and all of that things. But they said that is normal because you're not really eating and you're not really drinking any fluid, so that happened. It is just a situation, guys, that it is so hard. It is so hard, and I don't remember what the numbers are, but they said not majority, but a large percentage of women who are diagnosed with Hyperemesis Gravidarum, their pregnancies end in an abortion. So how did I feel about carrying on with this pregnancy? Guys, in no way, shape or form am I endorsing abortion, nor I am being against an abortion. I think it's based on the situation, and everybody do what they feel they need to do, because you can only judge a person if you're not in their shoe. When you're in their shoe, it's different, and my experience, it can lead anybody to an abortion, because in my mind, a very small part of me at a point in my pregnancy thought I needed to just abort this baby. I don't want persons to judge me like, why do you think that is a child and by 2 months or so is already grown and whatever, every life matter. I get it. But hyperemesis is like a gift from hell. That is all I see it, and it is nothing that I would wish upon anybody. And I was going through it, and I was like, God, why me? Like, me can't endure this. Me go dead. I could not bond with my child. I could not, and I did not talk about. I don't think persons knew that I was pregnant till about 4 months. I didn't talk about it. I wasn't amused when persons would ask me about my pregnancy. I would just get irritated. I was grumpy. I was over it. I was overwhelmed. I was sad. I was depressed because there was nothing. Everybody talk about pregnancy and they take cute pictures, and every day they're talking about, I can't wait to meet you and all that. And I'm like, I was just at that state that I was just fed up. I could not bond with my baby. I was carrying my baby, and I could not bond with my child because of what I was going through. I did not want to bond. Even I kind of just blocked my mind because I was so overwhelmed. And that is a harsh reality, guys, and I want to be completely honest and open in this. It was not easy, guys. My experience with pregnancy kind of led me to a state like, guys, if you have another baby, like, I don't think I can make a conscious decision. In my head, no, I'm thinking about it, I can't make a conscious decision to have a child, because what they say is that if you have been diagnosed before, your chances of being diagnosed again is up here. So there's a high possibility that you might be diagnosed again, and me, I don't think I can survive it again. Because when I got pregnant, I was 155 pounds. When I came out of the hospital, I was 130 pounds. So I lost 25 pounds in 3 months. So guys, it was bad. You know what is so hard? When you're at the hospital that I go to, they're not so open up to show you your baby and tell you. Bear in mind that I was there stressing out, and I was there trying to carry a child into existence even though I was sick, and I did not even see my child. I didn't even know that if he was well. All they would say is like, your baby alright, man. Like, no worry about your baby fine. Just basically focus on you and getting better. And like, how can you tell me that? Like, I'm here trying to fight for something that I don't even know is there. I don't know if he's okay. I don't know if it is even there, because I wasn't feeling anything at that point. But I could not feel my child because they did not even do an ultrasound or anything. I had to literally beg for that. And a vexation them use and give me one little ultrasound in our room. And at that point, that is where everything kind of turned over, and I was like, you know what, this child is worth fighting for. And even though that small part of my brain was like, you probably need to get rid of this, the largest part of my heart and for my being was like, if things get even more complicated than this, and they have to choose between my life and his. I wanted them to choose him. That is not something I really ever shared with anybody, but I was there and I was fed up and I was overwhelmed, but a part of me was fighting for him, and I wanted him to bring him to life. And if that meant that he was risking my own life, then I was about to take the risk. And that is what a mother is about. Yeah, a mother is willing to sacrifice herself for her child, even though she knows she can get 10 more. You know, once you be conceived with a child, then your everything becomes about them, and you don't hesitate to be ready to give up everything for them. I survived it. I survived in bad condition, lost a lot of weight, and I did came out. I came out in April, and April throughout to August when he was born, I threw up. The last time I threw up was the night before I broke. My waters broke. My waters broke on the 25th of August in the early morning, 1 a.m. in the morning, and I had baby around 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And it's when I came out now, and then he started to move around. It was 6 months thereabouts. He started to move, and I started to get excited. I was like, yes, worth fighting for. I started to bond. But mind you, I think the bond that persons develop when they are pregnant, I don't think I developed that strong bond until he was actually born, the minute he was born. So guys, I just wanted to just let you in and let you know that you are not alone. It is a condition that is very life-threatening. It is very sad. It is very heart-wrenching. It might play on your mental state. You might pass out a few times. You might feel hurt. You might feel overwhelmed. But at the same time, guys, you can do it, and you can get over it. And whatever you choose to do, whether you choose to hold it out or not, at the end of the day, my heart is with you, because it takes a lot of faith and a lot of will to have gone through what I have gone through and still hold on and hold through it out. So just imagine being 3 months into your pregnancy and no food, no water in your system, and a life inside of you. Guys, it was not an easy task, and I survived it. Many don't, many can't, and I'm not here to bash anyone, and I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, it's cruel if you can fight it through because you can get over it. When the shoes is on your feet, then you can understand how much it was squeezing the other person, and that is the reality. That is the reality of the situation. I suffered my sufferation. That's what Jamaican say, sufferation, and I'm not I can't sugarcoat it, and I'm not making it look worse, but I can only say that. I can only appreciate that much. But thinking of the symptoms and saying those symptoms was worthwhile and what I went through was fine, I can't become at peace with that. But I've accepted the fact that I've gone through it. I had a beautiful son, regardless of the fact that is the part that is like my rainbow at the end of the tunnel. So guys, that is the end. Oh, guys, I have a problem for the talk to over here, so you know, and all of them something there, because I not get the camera angle correct, what is right here, and I'm working on that part. But guys, yes, that was my pregnancy experience. As me say, I wouldn't wish this upon anybody else, but for those who are going through it, potentially may go through it, I want to be here. I want to provide you with that moral support, and I want to tell you that you can pull through it. As hard as it might seem, you can pull through it, and when you get a newborn, everything will just go into place. Because, and what I want to say too is that even though you might be suffering, your baby will be quite fine. That is what I realized. Even though they can end up with some complications, or what a majority of pregnancies that had suffered Hyperemesis Gravidarum had come up with healthy babies, and the babies